So what are we watching here? It's more than hypocrisy. What we're watching is panic. Justin Trudeau knows that nobody joined the protest because they're, quote, tired of COVID. They're tired of tyranny. They're tired of being told to inject something into their bodies they don't want, whose long-term effects cannot be known, sold by companies that are protected, that have immunity from public recourse. We also know that what they told us to do didn't work. The lockdowns didn't work. Johns Hopkins came out and said it the other day. Pretty conclusive. That's what people are mad about. They want their freedom back. They're not tired of the virus. They're tired of the leaders who use the virus to give themselves more power. And they're still doing it. Here's Ontario's Premier Doug Ford. He announced today that instead of lifting his province's useless mandates, he's going to steal the truckers' money, fine them, and then send them to jail.
There will be consequences for these actions, and they will be severe. We've already started by going after the money funding the illegal occupation. Yesterday, an Ontario court granted our request to freeze the funds from Give, Send, Go for the convoy. Fines for non-compliance will be severe, with a maximum penalty of $100,000 and up to a year imprisonment. We will also provide additional authority to consider taking away the personal and commercial licenses of anyone who doesn't comply with these orders.
When you start making threats like that, you've already lost. What you're showing is that you're impotent, and that's why you're unreasonable. That's why you're hysterical. That's why you're waving your arms around telling people they're going to prison. When you start stealing things from people outside the law, speaking of the law, everybody knows you're weak. So keep in mind that truckers raised $10 million on GoFundMe. That's a California company, but Canadian politicians had that effort shut down. Then Give, Send, Go, which is a Delaware company, raised almost the same amount, and Canadian politicians went after that money too. The Attorney General of Ontario successfully got a court order to freeze access to the $8.4 million raised on Give, Send, Go. Those funds are going to an Adopt a Trucker fundraising campaign. It was paying for, quote, housing, water, food, accommodations, and shuttle services for truck drivers in Ottawa. But all of that money has just been stolen by the Canadian government. It's been seized. All of this is pushing people away from government-issued currencies because they're in control of lunatics like the guy you just saw, and they're moving toward cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Just like 18-wheelers on bridges, blockchain is pretty tough for the authorities to control. Therefore, here's how you know it's a threat. The crypto guys must be white supremacists. And lo and behold, that's exactly what they're now telling us.
It's an avenue not just to make a lot of money or lose a lot of money, but it's also an avenue for money laundering, and it's also a place where white supremacists apparently are taking options. I mean, it's problematic at best in so many ways.
It's problematic at best. How do people like that get on television? There should be an IQ requirement. But by putting dumb people in the anchor chair, they're perfectly compliant to the people in charge. Crypto is white supremacy. But the hysteria gives them away. Keep in mind, they're not talking about ISIS. These are truck drivers, the people who bring you food. They're unarmed, they're waving Canadian flags and talking about love. A lot of them brought their kids. Now's when you start to panic, and they definitely are. This afternoon, the Prime Minister of Canada, who clearly is Fidel Castro's illegitimate son, came out from hiding to threaten the protesters directly. Watch this.
If you joined the protests because you're tired of COVID, you now need to understand that you are breaking laws. The consequences are becoming more and more severe. You don't want to end up losing your license, end up with a criminal record, which will impact your job, your livelihood, even your ability to travel internationally, including to the U.S.
You could be breaking laws. That was the funniest part. These are people who literally don't care about the law at all. They believe they make the law. This is the Prime Minister who ordered the cops to steal people's fuel. There's no law that says you can't have fuel in Ottawa. He just made that up. Now he's lecturing them about the law. So the downside of all of this is it's turning Canada into a legitimate police state, for real. Here's one of Doug Ford's police officers harassing a woman at her home because of something she wrote on Facebook in support of the truckers. It's one of the creepiest clips you're going to see today. Watch.
This is just some information about peaceful protests. That's all it is.
Okay, so you saw something on my Facebook?
No, on the Facebook group.
So the Ontario Provincial Police are watching what people are doing on Facebook in different groups, whether or not they're commenting, participating, liking, and you guys are now doing service calls to give people information about peaceful protest.
Yeah, it's just a proactive measure to make sure you understand your rights about peaceful protesting.
It's so great. In 2020, the Stasi are chirpy. We're here as a proactive measure to inform you of your rights, not because we've been spying on your social media. So to recap, donating to the truckers is criminal. Saying anything positive about the truckers gets the police to show up at your house. That's why truckers are the new QAnon, Russia, white supremacist extremist threat. They're talking like they're scary, but keep in mind, these are not displays of power. This is not how confident people talk. These are squeaks of impotence. And at the end of the week, there are a couple of different images that kind of float around your head. Picture the cops stealing the fuel from the freezing truckers. You picture the smiling truckers talking about love and waving Canadian flags, totally non-threatening. But above all, you remember the hysteria of the people in charge as they look out on this sea of working class people who are really sick of being pushed around, told what to inject into their bodies. Trudeau also attacked the protesters for closing the border. Only Justin Trudeau is allowed to do that, which he has done for more than a year.